Welcome to the 8th grade Math Homework Helper Series. Tonight's homework is SE2, Solving Systems of Equations Graphically, Day 2. Let's go over the steps for solving these problems. For step number 1, you need to graph each equation by finding the slope, the y-intercept, and the coordinates of the y-intercept. For step 2, you need to find a common solution if one is there, which would be the point where the two lines for the two different equations intersect on the graph. For step number 3, you're going to write that solution as an ordered pair. And step number 4, you're going to check the solution in both equations. And doing all those steps is going to help you to determine which of the three different types of systems of linear equations those two equations represent. So one type is a consistent system, and those types of systems are going to have exactly one solution, and each of the equations is going to have different slopes. The second type of system is an inconsistent system, and those equations are going to have no solution, different slopes, and different y-intercepts. And the last kind of equation system is a dependent system, and that's going to have an infinite number of solutions, the same slope for each equation, and the same y-intercept for each equation. So let's take a look at question number 5. It says solve each system of equations graphically and check and name the type of system. So we'll start by taking a look at the first equation. Y minus 3x equals 2. So in order to be able to determine the slope and the y-intercept on this equation, you're going to need to do some work because we have to isolate y by itself. So we add 3 to each side. That eliminates the 3x from the y side and gets y alone. And it moves 3x to the other side and it gives us 3x plus 2. Once we have the equation set up like this, we can easily take the slope, which is 3, or 3 over 1, and we can take the y-intercept, which is a positive 2. And the coordinates for the y-intercept would be 0, 2. So with that information, we can graph. So we're going to start by putting a point on the y-intercept coordinate, which is 0, positive 2. So it's going to go right there. And we know that our slope is 3, or 3 over 1, which means 3 up and 1 to the right. So we go 1, 2, 3 up, and 1 to the right. And we go 1, 2, 3 up, and 1 to the right. And from there we can put a line on those points, line them up. Okay. And we need to put a name on that line, and that is y minus 3x equals 2. Okay. We're finished with this equation. And now we need to look at the other side. So we have y equals 3x minus 2. This equation is nicely set up for us, so we don't need to do any work. We can immediately see that 3 is the slope and negative 2 is the y-intercept. And the coordinates of the y-intercept would be 0, negative 2. So using that information, we can plot the points of our next line. So we're going to start at 0, negative 2. So there's 0 and then negative 2. And our slope is the same as it was before. So we go up 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. We go up 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. And that should be enough points for us to be able to lay out the line. And put that into place. Right there. And of course we need to name it. There we go. And as you can see, these two lines essentially are not going to intersect. They're going to run parallel to each other at that diagonal pitch, and it should stay that way the whole time. So that gives us some information. We can clear out the graph, get rid of this information, And we can now take that information that we have and do a check. So the solution, since there was no spot where the two lines crossed, is that there is no solution. There's no point of intersection. And based on that, we have a pretty good idea now of what the system is. We had the same slopes, we had no solution, we had different y-intercepts, and if you remember from the beginning, when you have same slopes, no solution, different y-intercepts, that equals an inconsistent system. And that's what we need to know about question number 5. Please use the work that was done tonight on this question to help you to answer the additional questions that are on your homework. And remember, the key to success in math is not only working hard, but working smart.